Now, in Nigeria, the pensions sector has been hit by a new trend. People are doing whatever they can to retrieve their pension contributions before they retire. Some have gone as far as faking their deaths, with a few of them even going as far as getting obituaries published in newspapers in order to achieve their objective. In some cases, it is a scam, a scheme devised to rob the old of the pension annuities that result from their working years. And PENCOM, Nigeria's Pensions Regulatory Authority, says it has received complaints from retirees who allege that their pensions have been wrongfully paid to their next of kin or legal beneficiaries. PENCOM has responded by coming up with a series of policies to help prevent this. Tunji Andrews, CEO of Awabah, joins me now to look into this. Now, Tunji, unfortunately, it sounds extraordinary, but given the level of some of the scams and fraudulent activity we see in Nigeria, it's not necessarily something we wouldn't think we would see. How long has this been going on, or is it more of a recent issue that the regulator is finally taking notice of?
No, it's not new. It's been happening for a while, especially with next of kin tending to come up with death certificates of people who have pension savings and trying to collect on their behalves. And this has been going on for a little while. The regulator has always, taken extra measures to try and see that it doesn't happen. Once in a while, it does slip through the cracks. But I think that now, because it's now becoming a bigger trend, the regulator will have to step in to, take bigger and larger actions to make sure that it doesn't happen anymore in the future.
So we're calling this a trend, and some are even wondering if there's any opportunity to tie it to Nigeria's current economic situation, the rise of it, that is. And this also doesn't hold out the fact that it's even the people who own the pension accounts that are also attempting to defraud or to scam their pension holders or their pension companies, and then also the next of kin. So is it a rise we're seeing possibly linked to Nigeria's economic situation?
It's impossible to rule out. It's impossible to rule out those links, because obviously we're seeing high levels of cost of living. Inflation is really biting on a lot of Nigerians at this particular time, and it's just money is not circulating as many people would like it to. And a lot of the times, people would look at their pension savings and think to themselves, "Oh, I have 10, 20 million, 30 million just sitting there. If I could just get a little of that." And we've had people, reach out to us to ask that same question. But you see, the thing is, and we must also realize what the spirit of a pension is. It is money that is designed for your retirement. So even if the regulator is bound by the ethics to prevent you from scamming your older self at this particular time. So, when the regulator is taking extra measures to make sure that you cannot get access to it, it is just to make sure that when you do retire, you have all the resources there to take care of you.
So there are a few exceptions to when and how you can get your pension or get access to a certain amount of your pension early. Can you take us through that?
All right, so for people who are in the 9 to 5, that's the formal CPS, the Contributory Pension Scheme. When they're out of work, they've been out of work for over 6 months, then they are eligible to request for 25% of their pension savings, and they can get that. It takes about 2 to 3 months to be able to go through all the paperwork to be able to get you paid, but you have to have been out of work for 6 months at the least. But for micro pensions, which is the informal pensions, you have the opportunity to be able to withdraw up to 40% of your savings at any point after the first 3 months of savings. And that is the regulator taking cognizance of the fact that informal sector workers often need cash flow from time to time, and they've been able to make that available to them. So 40% you can withdraw for micro pensions at any point in time you want after the first 3 months. But the formal sector side, you have to have been out of work for 6 months to be able to, get access to 25% of your savings.
So one of the complaints, and I'm very sure you're probably aware of this, from regular pension holders is that when it is time for them to get access to their pensions, it takes so long. You talk about it being about 2 to 3 months, paperwork also being involved. And it seems that if it's that long and that difficult, how are the scam artists finding ways around this? So what are the loopholes that you think might exist in the system? And some are even saying, is this a security issue in regards to pensions in general that we should be looking at?
No, no, no. It's just that these people are patient. And unfortunately, we've not built a direct relationship between Nigerians and their pensions. When I mean a direct relationship, I'm talking about the kind of relationship you have with your bank account. It's difficult for you to have not checked your bank account balance in the last 3 weeks. It's not something that will happen. It's either you're moving money out of it or you're putting money into it. But with pensions, it's like you find out that people only get to, pay attention to it when they get that alert that, money has been paid into your pension account, and there's no relationship. So when somebody is working to try and defraud people's pensions, they base it on the fact that they know that you will not check in this period of time. You will not call your PFA. You don't have a relationship with your pension fund administrator. You don't, follow what is going on with Pencom. So it is that, belief in the fact that people don't have a relationship with their pensions, and they take their patient time to scam through that process. So I think going forward, creating a relationship between individuals and their pensions is critical to make sure that things like this do not happen going forward.
All right, so let's look at the regulatory authority in this sector now. So PEMCON is saying that one of the new policies that it's doing to combat this trend is to require that pension fund administrators contact the employers of the deceased as part of their due diligence. Do you think this will work? Is this enough? Let's look at what else you think that PEMCON is doing right and possibly what they need to increase.
So this is a great one, but I think a lot more needs to be done in terms of, just so there are a few things that can be done. The first one is in the digitizing that process. So right now it's still a bit manual. It's still a bit, I send a form, it goes through a process, somebody makes a call, they call the organization that you used to work with. A lot of those things are still very manual. If we can digitize the process to a situation whereby the owner of the account gets an OTP that they're supposed to send, make a bit of, loopholes that the person must be able to, if the person is around and the person is still alive, there is no how the person won't know. Maybe an email, maybe a text message with an OTP. Those kind of things really go a long way to be able to deter this kind of situations. Just the same way it happens with some bank account transfers. If there are some particular transfers that you're trying to make with your bank, that an OTP is sent to make sure that it is you that is initiating that transfer. So those kind of things need to be put in place. It's not that this will eliminate fraud, but at least to reduce it to the bare minimum.
Okay. You did mention earlier that, of course, there's the micro pension side of things, which you operate in with Awabah. Are we seeing more people starting to take more notice and pay more attention to what it needs, what their pensions need, what they need to do as they prepare to retire?
And I'll thank the regulator for also stepping in this particular regard, because ultimately one of the larger problems with pensions is the fact that it's a long-term saving, 20-30 years, and a lot of Nigerians just keep to think to themselves, how would that work for me? But the regulator has now started to introduce incentives like complementary health insurance, complementary life insurance, to be able to help boost adoption, and this is working a lot, and we're seeing more and more people saving, signing up, and getting a better relationship with their pensions and their retirement future.
All right, finally, Tunji, before I let you go, if I hold a pension, I have a pension account, maybe as you said, I don't check it except when I hear an alert and a deposit. What are a few things I can do with that account, or what I need to take notice of to protect myself from those who might want to defraud me? Unfortunately, even including my next of kin.
It's a serious issue. So first things I think you need to know is who your pension fund administrator is. You need to find out who they are, and you may not know this, but you have a legal right to be able to walk into the pension fund administrator's office and demand for your balance. You can demand for your account statement. You have a right. They should print it for you if you require. They should email it to you if you require. I think that's the first thing, and keep a relationship, a tab with them, so that you can be able to, at least have a working relationship with your account savings. Also, there's something that is going on right now. It's called a revalidation, where it's like a recapturing of your biometrics. weeks, you need to go to your PFA to get that done right now, so that if you want to move from one PFA to another, that is required for you to be able to do that. So let's start getting a relationship. It's your money. You have millions and millions there. Why are you letting it sit without you getting interaction with it?
All right, Tunji Andrews, CEO of Awabah, thank you so much. We know that the regulatory authority, PENCOM, is quite up and active in regards to this, but it's also necessary to inform the public of what activities are happening and how they can protect themselves. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
All right, you're watching Business Edge, and we introduced a new segment recently, which is called The Impact, and it basically looks at how everyday people are dealing with the impact of inflation, currency issues, so many other things across the continent, because we can get wrapped up in the numbers and the figures, and at the end of the day forget that there are very real people who live with the life consequences of the decisions by policymakers, and also decisions that are completely out of their control. Today we head to Zimbabwe. That happens after the break.